Once you have all your micro SD cards plugged in and mounted to your computer through a USB hub, you'll be able to see all of them here like this. You don't need to worry or stress about renaming or anything like that. AutoPano Video will actually handle a lot of that for you. So we'll just open up AutoPano Video and choose File and Import All GoPros. So this makes it really easy. So they have this awesome little dialog here. It presents you with all of the clips and everything that it recognizes. So it looks like we have all of our cameras. That looks great. You can organize it by camera like this, or you can organize it by sequence or shot. And that's how I prefer to do it, because then it organizes it all for me and I'm ready to rock when I want to drag everything in and start syncing or start stitching. So you'll notice here that if I'm going by camera, it organizes each clip by the camera that it was recorded on. So you'll see how everything looks pretty similar. There's kind of a pattern, 3.23, 3.2, 3.25. And if you're in the sequence, you'll notice that all of these are the same shot, all of these are the same shot, all of these are the same shot. And you can look at the length and double check all that as well, just to make sure everything is good. All of our metadata looks correct, 1440p, 80 frames a second, MP4, looks awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and organize by sequence. And then there's these other options here that you can merge successive chapters if you want, or you can create a sequence based on the subdirectory, which is cool, but I usually just leave it default like this just to get all my data over. And then I select all of my clips, like so. So there was 5 shots there that I took, and I'm going to choose where I would like to save these, and then all you got to do is hit transfer selection, and it will start copying all of those files over to your drive. And you'll see these little progress bars here on the right that you can kind of keep track of to see where things are at, and you kind of just let it do its thing. All right, and once all your files are imported and ready to go, we can open up Finder. You'll see that they all imported perfectly, named exactly how we want, with the sequence and camera. Makes it really easy. So this is all sequence 3 stuff, our 6 cameras, sequence 1, and so on and so forth. From here, I like to further organize all of these clips so they're in their own folder and kind of live in their own place. So the way I like to do this is usually I'll just go in and manually select the sequence 1 clips, hit new folder with new selection, and choose shot 01. So once I do all this, I also like to create a project files folder for the entire shoot so that when I do exports for prelim stitching and final exports and everything from AVP, I'll have all of my Kava project files in one window here. So it's really easy just to click and drag and put them all in my project. So it's really easy just to find these within AVP using the batch render button here, and I can pull those up and pull them all in like that. And as I go in and I stitch each individual one of these, I usually like to come back out here and rename things like this and say, or if I can remember it from memory, but usually it's after I've stitched and everything, I like to add a little bit of an explainer to this so I can say something like first shot static or something like that, just so you have an idea of what will be in that shot. And as long as you name things like that, you should be good. An additional thing I like to do to each one of my MP4 files here is I like to add custom digits and letters to the end of each file. Because after, several years or even months of creating 360 content, eventually you might end up with, duplicate file names. Mostly GoPros are pretty good at kind of keeping new file names going and all that kind of stuff. So you rarely would run into it, but I would hate to eventually run into a time where for some reason AutoPano Video is thinking this sequence 1 cam2 9619.mp4 is actually of another project and it's pulling it from 2 years ago or something. So just to be perfectly safe, I like to use a program called Name Mangler that I love and highly recommend. If you guys do decide that you'd like to purchase Name Mangler, I've got some coupon codes for you from the developer himself. They've been kind enough to provide some coupon codes for 20% off. And I've got as many of those as you guys want. So check below for the link to Name Mangler's website and the ways to purchase this program. It's useful for so many other things, including just basic file renaming for like time lapses, all sorts of stuff. So it's very multifaceted. You can use it for almost anything, and I've been using this program forever. I love it. So basically the way you do this is you can just click and drag a folder onto this gray area here, and it will load up all your clips and all your files there. So all I'm going to do is click on this, the drop down list here, and hit add suffix, so add to the end, and I'm going to hit this little plus sign and then choose random characters, and then I'm going to choose, let's do like 5 letters. That should be plenty of options, and I think it'd take you a million years to get to the end of that. I'm going to choose 5 characters because that's a good place to start, and I'm just going to add an underscore before the random characters so that we have a nice separation there. And now you can see all these random characters at the end. So we're pretty much guaranteed that we'll never ever have a duplicate file name in the entire existence of our Doing 360 video. So it'll be very, very safe. It'll make sure that you're going to be good in your post-production workflow. So I'm going to go ahead and hit rename 6 files. It'll ask you if you're sure. I'm pretty comfortable with this program, so I don't need it to remind me every time. And we're good. So now we have all of our files over here renamed with our custom random characters. So I'm going to go and drag shot 2 on, do the same thing, shot 3, same thing, 4, same thing, and 5, same thing. So it's very easy. As you can see, we have all of our custom characters, random characters at the end there. Looking good. No problems with duplicate files. Again, this is Name Mangler. Awesome, awesome program. Check out the coupon code below and the website to buy the program. It's great. Now, before we do anything else, I do want to remind everybody of one thing, and I'm sure most of you already do this, but I would kick myself if I didn't remind everybody and let you know. If you're not backing up your media to a completely separate hard drive, so a secondary hard drive, you're doing it wrong. You do not want to do that, and you're risking way too much if you just have one copy of all your media. So, and that includes having it on your SD card. So I usually don't format my SD cards until I'm ready to go shoot again. So I have basically a third backup of everything. So I don't consider these a backup at all. I consider having this as my primary on my main drive. And then once I've made all my changes and done all my renaming and everything, I always make another backup. That's a mandatory workflow step that you think you won't need until you need it. And anybody who's ever lost a drive or lost footage knows exactly what I'm talking about. Do not risk it, especially when you're doing high-paid client work. You don't want to have to make that phone call to them saying, hey, we need to reshoot something because I lost the footage, or any variation of that kind of phone call. It's not a fun conversation to have. So what I use and what I recommend is a program called Carbon Copy Cloner. It's an amazing, amazing program. It asks you for a source drive or folder, and then also asks you for a destination drive or folder. And you can copy from A to B, and basically what it does is it clones whatever's on A over to B. So it makes it really simple. It's awesome for making bootable drives if you really want, as a backup for your own computer, but it also works really well for backing up specific folders to other drives. And I use this program exclusively for all my backup needs, including 360 video content, 2D video content. It works great. So we'll just do a quick name here just to show you how it works. Basically, usually what I do is I kind of have it set up at the bottom here, and I navigate to the places that I want to back this up to on my hard drives. And let's say we just want to back up this one folder here, so we'll go Warehouse 360 Shoot, drag it onto that little area. And then I'm also going to choose another drive on this drive, for instance, and we'll just create a new folder called Warehouse 360 Shoot Backup, and drag this one over there. So it's really easy. And once you do that, it will set up all your options for you. And you can actually just go ahead and click clone from this point, and it will go off. But there are a few other options I just want to talk about so you can understand. So I'm going to click Use Advanced Settings here. You can clone all files, selected files, or custom. You can do all sorts of different options and say, I don't want to, copy the DS store, or I don't need the project files. I mean, you can do all sorts of stuff. You can do selected files there, all files. It's really great, really advanced. I usually just do all files because I want to make a backup of everything I do. Safety net is an important feature that is nice. You can basically leave this on all the time. What it does is it creates kind of a safety net folder so that if there's anything on this drive that's different from this one, instead of just nuking it and erasing all these new files or whatever on this drive, on your destination folder or drive, it will just put it in a separate folder called Safety Net. And then you can go in there and review that every once in a while and make sure that you're not erasing anything important. And you can also prune the safety net in effect and basically set up these rules here for that. So that's really nice as well. You can also have it send you an email notification, which is handy, especially if you're copying a lot of data and you've gone to, go get lunch or something and you want to know when you're ready to come back and start working at your computer. You can set it up on a schedule, so you can do an hourly basis, daily, weekly, monthly, whenever the source or destination is reconnected. It's really easy. You can set up different conditions, limiting it when it can run, deferring it if there's another task running to the destination. It's really great. One of my favorite features is you can run another backup task after you have finished this one. So if you have a list of different backups that you're wanting to do, you can just set up kind of a chain where when this one's done, you go, up to this home Mac Pro backup. That's what I've got there. And then after this one's done, you can set up another one to go. So it's really handy that way. And then you can also have it turn the computer off or put to sleep once it's done. It's really, really powerful program, extremely robust. I've never had any problems with it. Highly, highly recommend this program. It's useful to have for almost anything else too. Creating bootable backups is great. But also being able to back up and store all your professional media and stuff for big high-paying projects is really, really handy as well. So I highly recommend Carbon Copy Cloner. Another big thing about Carbon Copy Cloner I like is you can stop a carbon copy clone from happening mid copy and shut the computer off or whatever and then pick up right where you left off. So in effect you can pause the copy and continue it later, which is really, really handy and something you cannot do in Finder when you just click and drag stuff or copy and paste. Another thing that's really handy is Carbon Copy Cloner actually analyzes your source information when it copies to the destination. So the very, very first time you do a copy, it's going to take the full amount of time to copy 60 gigs or whatever you have over to the destination. However, once you have done that copy one time, say the next time I want to do a backup, I've only added a project file, for instance, and that's it. The nice thing about Carbon Copy Cloner is it actually will not recopy everything over that's already on the destination. It will only copy the new files over to the destination. So it saves you tons and tons of time, and it makes sure and analyzes everything that you have everything perfectly set up. So there's no way you're gonna ever have any missed files or anything like that. So what I would usually recommend is setting it up on an hourly basis to back up all your media and your projects. If that feels too much or too often, you can do it daily, maybe at 2 a.m. in the morning or something when you're asleep, and your computer will back up all your stuff for you so you have everything saved and ready to go. So it's really, really handy that way. I love this program. I could not recommend it enough.